All right, there we go. We are live, presumably. Hello there, good people. Hi, Jason here with Green Country Agroforestry. Wednesday night, time for another live stream. Hmm. I'm stealing some of Mary's pre-made coffee. This stuff is very, very rich. I'm stealing some of Mary's pre-made coffee. She ordered some. She ordered some instant coffee, and I'm swiping some of it to sample it. It's creamy. It's okay. Hmm. It's not as good as the stuff that I like though. All righty. Let's wait. Okay. So I was running a little bit behind, going everything, taking my supplements. Hmm. Getting ready and trying to figure out what in the world to do with this book. Yeah. We've been going through bookshelves. Apparently, this is one of the ones that Mary wants to keep. I okay. So I hope everybody's staying warm out there. I've got the auxiliary microphone running, and I've got the automatic noise cancellation turned off. Let me know if the sound is okay. If it sounds weird or anything like that, let me know also. Um, I'm gonna maybe experiment with playing the guitar at some point, and hopefully it doesn't sound horrible. I think one of the reasons why, whenever I tried to do it before, it didn't sound good, is because of the noise cancellation feature in StreamYard was turned on, and it doesn't know how to handle the sound waves coming in. If I strike a chord, it might dampen some out and then let some other sounds through. And if that was the case, then it sounded choppy. It was horrible. Not that we're here to play guitar all night or something anyway. It's just if I felt the urge, I'd like to be able to pick it up and play it and not have it not sound like complete garbage, unless of course I was playing poorly. Anyway, so hi. Hmm. Kimber's with us tonight. Hey, Kimber, we were doing laundry. Guess what I found? I found this. Look at this. Look at this. I found this really cool blue shirt with long sleeves. It's awesome. Look at this. This is an awesome shirt. I think somebody left it here. We were going through all the old laundry and cleaning up and such. And I found this thing. Kimber's saying that's where it went. I'm wearing it. It's chilly and it's got long sleeves. You can come by and pick it up tomorrow if you like. Ah, Vicky's saying you have a head cover and a coat. Is it that cold in the house? Oh, it's only a little chilly. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to take my shoes off. I've been running in and out and in and out and in and out and getting last minute chores and stuff done outside. We're past the longest night of the year, but that still doesn't mean that it's not getting dark soon out there. So I got the ducks put up, and I'm going to have to go out there and empty out their water. Either I do that later on tonight, or I'll have to do it tomorrow. But they need fresh water for tomorrow. Filling it up, I'll have to wait until then because it's going to freeze again tonight, I'm pretty sure. Kimber says, no, I haven't forgotten about the bread I owe you. What? You owe me bread? Why is everybody trying to bring me bread? I mean, I'm not complaining, but okay. Ah, okay, that's one foot taken care of. Oi. These are great shoes. I just got new boots um, before I get these before the election. Might have gotten them before the election. It's like just in case things go horribly. if it's the end of the world as we know it, I'm gonna have fresh new boots. So we got these they're Ariat steel-toed non-slipped work boots, very nice, but ooh, they your feet will sweat in them if you wear them for too long. So getting your feet out, letting them breathe is really nice. I think he's talking about coldest part here. Usually it's in February is when we get our coldest weather, and then March comes along, a little bit warmer. April a little bit warmer, and then May. It's sometime in the middle of May. It turns into summer. Sometime in May turns into summer. Okay. So if you call, once upon a time, I started out this channel was talking about different forest layers, roles, niches, other things that are involved with assembling a full functioning forest ecosystem. There is a list of what you call the different layers, and I don't sorry, I don't have a link right. Maybe I can edit and put a link in up here somewhere after we get done with the live stream for roles and layers. Of course, if somebody is in chat with mod privileges, you can find that live stream and put it up there. That'd be great. Otherwise, I'll do it here in a minute. Mary says I've got a couple that I did. There's one that I did as a live stream, and then there's another one that Mary and we went out to Turkey Mountain, this wilderness area, and we actually videoed examples in nature of these layers in nature. So out there in the wilderness where nobody's planting, nobody's taking care of anything, it's just growing naturally. This is how the layers shape up, and you can see them as they grow and as everything interacts. So we've got a couple of videos like that. And at some point, the idea was I was supposed to start working on a book describing how to go about constructing a food forest, making your own, and making it sort of generic to the northern hemisphere, but with some flexibility. So the idea we had was, let me go ahead and grab a document real quick here, and be easier to show you. Let me see. So we have Food Forest Appendix 1. Which one is this? Give me a second. All right. So we started out with this crazy document. Let me get back to sharing screen here. Where's it? Shared screen. There we are. This one. Just realized I had a whole bunch of other documents up there. All right, let me put my face over here to the side so you can see me. Do you want to see me? Yeah, who cares? All right, let's look at this document here. Where are you at? This one. Here we go. So I started out by talking about juggalone. It's found in walnuts. It's also found in pecans to a certain extent. We have pecans here, so I've had a lot of opportunity to sort of examine how they interact with other plants. There's some indication that my initial assessment that hazelnuts are going to be a good companion may or may not be the case. I've had several hazelnut plants just die off in close proximity to our pecan trees, but I can't see that this pecan trees that weakened it, because whenever I examine them in every single case, some sort of rodents come along and eaten the roots of that tree. So it may just simply be that this particular location is bad for hazelnuts because of the gophers that are eating the roots. So we've got one that's right next to a pecan tree and it's growing just fine. It hasn't seemed to hurt it any. The other one that's a little bit closer to the pecan tree, a little bit closer to that root zone, is a little bit dwarfed. And that could just be simply because it's not getting enough light. So you may be able to have hazelnuts and pecans in the same forest area, but probably not directly underneath the pecan trees. Maybe on the fringe or on the outer edges, as you're going from your your open area into a shrub layer. This is where you're going to put your hazelnuts, because they can be trained as a shrub, 8, 9, and 10 foot or so, and then into understory, 15 feet or so, fruit trees, and then into your canopy. So you'll have one moving into the next, into the next. I started out with this particular page, went on to list a whole bunch of different things that you can grow in conjunction with your, you can see the huge list of things that you can grow in conjunction with your walnuts and with pecan trees. Apples, asparagus, brassicas of all kinds, chrysanthemums, columbines, hydrangeas, narcissus, peonies, not peonies, 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 panaceate trees, shrubs like firs, large pine, cedar, rhubarb, solanaceous plants of all types, true lilies. Wait, sorry, these are ones that are more susceptible. All right. Let me read my writing here. Oh yeah, those are the ones that are more susceptible. All right. Now the things that seem to be okay are alliums, apricots, asters of all kinds, beans, bee balm, bellflowers, cherries, clovers, corn. Yeah, you can grow corn next to pecan trees. We had pecan trees all the way around the corn patch back at the old farm. Never heard a thing. Crocuses, currants, daylilies, dogwoods, elderberries, ferns, hawthorns, hazelnuts. The list goes on and on. Big list, whole bunch of different trees that you can get. But the way we've got this, let me close this document out or open up a new one. Yeah. The way we have this organized, I have. Let me open this one up. Stop sharing that one. This one here. All right. So the way we had this split up, and actually get one of the pages. I wanted to start out with a list of trees according to the category, the niche they fill. For example, canopy trees, understory trees, so on and so forth. And I have this list here that we compiled, or I compiled, with some flexibility. We have some choices for specifically cool temperate forests, canopy trees for temperate forests, most of the continental United States, and then canopy trees for warm temperate forests. That's in your southern latitudes in the continental United States, so down to zone 11 or so, just short of tropics. Now, whenever you get into the Florida, the down there in the lower section of Florida, that's tropical gardening. You're into something else entirely. That's where you go. How to grow a Florida food forest. David the Good wrote a book about that. The idea behind this particular book is it's supposed to be more for here in the temperate zone. But I try to put little codes in for every tree to give you an idea about what it might be used for. All right. So you look at something like a golden rain tree. Oh my gosh, what in the world is this? Well, this particular tree, it'll grow from zones 5 through 8. You're going to expect it to get about 32 foot high, 32 foot wide. And then I have notations, which I've promptly forgotten exactly what the word, so I'm going to have to spend some time reacquainting myself, because I never did write the key for what these notes were supposed to be for. Self-fertile, hermaphroditic, and I think the P stands for a pollinator attractor. So there you go. Looking at those little annotations. Hopefully, by having several examples, and these aren't all by any means all the trees you could possibly have for your garden or for your property for canopy. But there's a large group that'll fit both northern and southern climates here in the continental United States, and then some variation for if you're more to the north, you can get things like the Italian stone pines, English walnuts, California laurel. Those are all sorry, more to the south. More to the south, like those are more southern. If you're more to the south, you can get these. If you're more to the north, you could have things that are more like beech or little leaf linden, sweet chestnuts, white willow, stuff like that. Okay, fun stuff. Pull this out. Close that up. So Mary's been getting on to me about not ever finishing anything that I start. Yeah, that's it. Every time I start to write a book, whenever I figure out how the book's going to end, I go, okay, I know how it's going to end. I don't need to keep writing it anymore. So I have folders filled with half finished tales. One of the reasons why I like to do short fiction whenever I do write fiction is because I can get to the end of the story before it's bored me to tears. If it's a short subject, I'll get to the end of it. It's okay. I don't have to keep writing it after I've figured out how the story ends. Shortly after I figure out how the story ends, I've finished writing it. I don't have to labor at it, right? Otherwise, I'm going to get the story started. You guys hear that? That was a weird sounding siren. I don't know what kind of siren that was. It stopped really quick though. Anyway, so anyway, I've just have all these half finished stories and folders, but the Food Forest book was something that I kind of got enamored with the idea of writing, and David had said somebody you should do one of these for the temperate zone. So I went, I'll do that. And then whenever I got started, I was like, a lot of these trees I haven't grown yet. I haven't grown them. I haven't talked to anybody that's grown them. I don't have any experience with them. The only thing I know about them is what I've read about them, and that's not doing readers any justice if I'm just going to go start cranking out, you should plant this tree and this tree and this tree and this tree, right? Because I have not grown these particular trees. So I'm just going to be giving you a recommendation based upon something that I pulled from a database and then said, I think that would fit in there. Let's try this. Not good. I need to do more in-depth research before I just pump this thing out there and produce it. So there's that. Also, I wouldn't want this to be like, just about every other book of this sort. Give it a little bit of variety, something to make it special, something to make it different. Bonnie Blue 2A saying white oak is a big one that every garden needs, supports so many species. There we go. So what we're talking about is these things that bring more to the party than you would just see on the surface. A lot of those support species are like that. You can have several, maybe a third of the things that you're planting in your garden can be things that produce food for you. Like I get food from this. This does something for me personally. And then another third need to be things that support the garden in other ways, not necessarily nitrogen fixtures, but things that support your pollinators, things that support or provide habitat for the birds or some of the other wildlife that are kind of essential to making the entire ecosystem function. Unless you feel like doing all the jobs out there yourself with machines or hand tools, it's just a lot of work. Creating habitat allows some of the nature to come in and do some of the work for you. Things like the hackberry tree would be a good example of something that could either be an understory or canopy tree. It has the ability to switch off and do one roll or both. But hackberry and maple, another canopy tree is maple, And sycamore, another canopy tree, not one you really want next to your house because they get really big. And all three of those, the hackberry, sycamore, maple tree, all three of those are what they call self-pruning trees. So they drop limbs periodically. You just drop one off. And whenever this happens, when it separates, the crotch of the limb, right there where kind of like the armpit of the limb, just like your body, on the trunk of your body has a little bit of a concavity there. When the limb falls, there's a concavity right there. And leaving that concavity when the limb falls is a place where a lot of those birds, nesting birds, cavity nesting birds in particular, can come and establish their habitat. That's chickadees. That's pardon me. Chickadees, tufted titmice. Lots of these little birds, wrens, little birds that like to nest in cavities, and then they're going to come out and they're going to attack your insect pests whenever spring comes because they want to feed their babies. In the case of wrens, they're going to attack your insect pests all throughout the year anyway. We were recently treated to the sight of a little Carolina wren visiting our bird feeder in the winter in the snow. And we didn't have anything other than sunflowers up there for the little wren to get to. And she was just going up there and eating at the sunflowers. Oh, so they will eat sunflowers too. I know that they'll come in. I'll know that they'll hang out, but I hadn't often seen them actually go to the feeder to eat. This time she's going to the feeder. So she was where there was two of them. So there's probably a boy and a girl, but I don't know how many wrens we have around here. There's a lot. There's a lot of wrens around here. Anyway, so these trees are things that get overlooked because they're not producing food for me. It's not a nitrogen fixer, and typically people are thinking of what are we going to do in the terms of gardening, producing food for me, or being a substitute for those items from the supply chain that I was going to buy in. So give me phosphorus, give me nitrogen, give me potash, give me resources, give me organic matter, things that I can harvest to spend in the rest of the garden. But habitat's a very important thing that you need as well. And of course, if it's a self-pruning tree, then you're going to get wood for your rocket stove or your fireplace. Right now, it's a regular sheet metal stove or cast iron stove. So, one of these days, hopefully, we'll be able to upgrade and have a good thermal mass heater. So let me look around to see if I can find. Oh, that isn't it. I'm gonna have to go back into. What is this? Is it in documents? Do I have it in here? I have it in here, I think. Maybe. No, it's not in here, by golly. All right, so not too long ago, I did a little picture and put it up on, it's going to be on my recents. Yeah, I might be able to find it in recent. I did a little graphic showing steps to planting a forest garden, and I put it up in the community tab. Let me. I can just do it this way, right? Let me go. Let's go to my community tab, find it. I can't remember. I can't remember. I put the darn thing. But I figured this needed to go in there somewhere. A lot of the stuff that I wanted to put in the books are in terms of starting out properly, because I see a lot of projects where people get the idea of, oh, okay, well, I need this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree, couple of bushes, couple of those things. They throw everything together, and then some of it works, some of it doesn't work, some of it struggles, and then some of it dies, and you don't get the whole functioning system that you should have because you skipped a few steps in preparation, mainly in preparation, getting the soil ready in the first place to switch from whatever you had before to a forest. Let me go find this picture here. So I wanted to include sort of some basics at the beginning. There's another siren. So what do you guys think happened? We had one siren by itself, and now there's another one. Ah, here we go. I found it. Okay, let me see. I just can't figure out where the original image went off to. Sorry about this, guys. I should have this thought out better. There we go. Let's put that in like that. And now I've got a page I can share. Yay. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, you get ice in those things, you're going to wind up losing some branches, you're going to lose some trees. I remember back in 2007 out here, we had so much ice that that you could hear them, as the night went by in the middle of the night, you just heard kapow, kapow. Tree trunks just exploded because the weight was causing them to splinter. Yeah. It was scary. And then we go out the next day and it really did. It looked, at night it sounded like artillery. The day you went out and it looked like somebody had bombed us. It's because the trees are just twisted and blasted. All right. So you're going to share. Which window? This one here? All right. Let's have a look at this one. Okay. All right. So I got this picture here with the steps to starting a forest garden. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I changed the landing page video to our step one, which we did out here on the north side of the house this past. Was that spring? Was that really spring? It was just this past spring that we did it. And we started out with just the preparation space, getting the ground ready so that once we put everything in, we wouldn't have to worry. The water would be retained, and things would happen the way they're supposed to. Preparation really saves you a lot of heartache down the road. Until I figured this step out, I was slamming trees into the ground and they were dying left and right. Really, it was bad. So whenever I see somebody go out there and they've got a shovel and they've got a handful of trees and they're walking out into a meadow that's never had a tree in it before, they're like, okay, we're gonna make our food forest here. You're like, oh no, because I already know what's gonna happen. Because it's somewhere out far away from close to the house where they can monitor it every day. It's somewhere where they don't have irrigation already set up. It's somewhere where adding the trees was a second thought. and the soil wasn't forest before. It was something else. So they're doing exactly the same thing that I was doing, going out into the front yard that was a lawn, compacted clay, sometimes sand, really poor soil, and then just trying to get trees to grow, and it was not working. It was not working at all. So preparation, number one, getting the ground ready, getting the area ready to transform from whatever it was into a forest. Absolutely vitally important. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it manually, by going in and breaking up the subsoil, adding the organic matter, and doing all of that by importing organic matter, which is exactly what I wound up doing because I have a ready access to a whole bunch of wood chips. So we just came out, broke up the soil, and then everywhere that there was going to be a walkway, we dug out a trench. Dug out a trench. I would prefer to have it down to 3 feet, but I was going down to the point where the soil started to get really bad, like really bad. Just no organic matter at all, nothing but matrix, um, clay and sand. So whatever topsoil we had in the walkway space, we dug that out and put to the sides. So automatically that increased our depth of topsoil. And then the space in between there that we just dug out, we filled in with wood chips. Now, right now, whenever it's not sleeting and storming outside and it's not incredibly cold and such, I'm going out there and digging that out in the front yard and moving some of that soil that we've made over the past couple of years to different places. That's fun chores that we're doing at the moment. But this allows us to bank our water, so I don't have to be out there constantly irrigating. Because for brand new trees, baby trees, while they're getting established, they have to have water. A couple of days, even a week without them getting water, and that can be it for them. So making sure they're watered, making sure they have access to water is important, and having it right there in the soil is the best way. Hmm. Adding plants. Of course, after preparation is implementation. Implementation is when you start putting in all your plants, all the trees, all the bushes, all the vines, everything that's going to fill the various niches. If you're direct sowing, this is whenever you start, and this is where I put over here to the side sowing. So you have seed cycles from sowing through reaping the seed, and then you have cycles of preparing, growing a forest or garden that run alongside it. I told you I was probably going to get around to talking about grafting at some point. We'll get to that. Then we get germination, growth, maturation, fruition. And since we want to stay biblical, rest. Absolutely rest. You need time to take a moment and see what has happened in your forest, in your garden over the course of this past year. Like I said, spring, we did our preparation, we did our implementation. We already had most of the plants that were going in on this north side garden over here ready to go. So we put them in. They've experienced growth, matured. We didn't really get much in the way of fruit this year, by the way. First year. We've got our little almond tree over there. It hasn't bloomed yet. This is the second year that it's been over there. So it was kind of there before we got started with the rest of it. But we took a mulberry tree, we put it over there. It was only about yay tall, and it's now close to 7 foot. So 5.5 to 6 feet of growth in the first year of being planted says quite a bit, considering that we didn't do anything at all other than just that basic preparation, making it possible for the soil to stay alive and growing, and then making sure we had lots of things in there to feed it. Um, Great success so far for the first year. But now that we have had this opportunity to stop, let's see what's going on, assess the situation. We can remove the things that need to be removed if we have things that aren't serving a purpose in there anymore. Sometimes it's like that. Whenever you're trying to establish a forest, you're going to plant some stuff that's only growing there because you need something in the ground to cover the ground. You need some kind of ground cover, period. Doesn't matter what it is. Some things are preferable to others when it comes to ground cover, obviously. But the fact that you've got something in the ground to keep the ground intact is the first and foremost priority. And then replace that with better things as you go. Brian just wants to get his tax refund and run like a bandit. Buy lots of trees, buy lots of shrubs, and ground covers, and a broad fork. Oh, the broad fork is great. The broad fork is a great tool. So along with that cycle of rest, which is also kind of how you keep yourself rejuvenated, right? Don't overwork. You clear out the stuff that doesn't belong anymore, and you start getting ready to make preparations for your next garden expansion or the next season of gardening if you're doing annual gardening. And I kind of like doing both annual and perennial, and doing them both together. So we had this little diagram that I put together, and I figured this is going to go nicely in the forest gardening book, somewhere close to the beginning, because you really need to know what your steps are. And of course, this guy over here, this is like one of the most important parts of the garden, don't you know? It's the gardener. He's got to be in good shape. If he's not in good shape, then the garden's not going to turn out very well. Vicky's saying, "Cat sits on a hot stove, will never do it twice, or sit on a cold stove either." Yeah, Bill might surprise you. All right. So something that I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Part of the supplemental for taking care of the gardener has to do with the internal garden and 7 different types of trees. Since we've managed to get everybody else to run away by now, 7 different types of trees that you can plant in your internal garden to get rid of this page here because we don't need it, to help you with your gardening efforts overall. All right. No, Bill the cat. Bill the cat. Now, the thought that I had was to link these 7 types of trees to 7 real trees, maybe, or maybe associate them kind of with the layers in the food forest, so we can have all of our mnemonics line up. I don't know. What kind of trees are we talking about? Well, by way of example, right now in the garden, I have an Ozark plum and a June Gold dessert plum. These are both prunus, right? And then we've got a Stella and a Meteor cherry, also prunus. And then I've got some kind of peach tree, and I don't know what the specific cultivar is. Again, prunus. These are all stone fruits, and they're all trees that you can graft. But any member of the prunus genus, you should be able to take a branch from that tree and graft it onto another tree. But you don't want to just graft willy-nilly, because some trees have better roots than others, right? So you're going to be looking for your rootstock tree. If you have a lot of similar trees that are in the same family, you want to have a tree that has good roots to establish as your rootstock tree. And then whenever you've got that, you get the fruit from it, you plant the seed, it's going to produce a little seedling. Whenever it gets big enough, you go snip and cut a little notch in there and cut a wedge in your scion wood, stick it in there, wrap some electrical tape around it, get it good and tight. And there you go. The graft takes, you're going to have your good fruit producing tree on a good set of roots. That's the idea. So one of the kinds of trees that you want to have is a tree that's going to have good sturdy roots, right? Internally speaking, we're talking about the principle of diligence, right? Hang on. Go to audio. Is it working? Okay, it's working. Back there. Sorry about that. We lost our audio for a second there. Double check and make sure it is. Yeah, it says it's on. Okay, there we go. For some reason, the audio dropped out. At what point, guys? What point did the audio drop? Um, Betty would not make good earmuffs. Okay, so 9079. Okay, so it wasn't that far. It wasn't that far back. Okay. All right. Give me a second here. I'm going to stop that screen entirely. Sound is back. All right. I just wanted to figure out at what point we lost the sound. I was talking about because I don't know when we lost it. What was the last thing you heard? Anybody? Bueller? The last thing you heard? Internal garden, tree of diligence. No, yeah. Do I need to go back and start over? You're back. We're back to no sound again. Let me see. Testing 1 2 3. Huh? It says right there. It says there's sound. Yeah, this is a great way to run a live show, guys. Okay, where sound is back. But what was the last thing you heard? Okay, about 4 minutes ago, I was talking about stone fruit. All right, I have a garden full of stone fruits, and stone fruits are great because you can graft just about any other stone fruit onto a stone fruit. Stone fruit. There's other things I could say about stones, but we're not going to get there on this show. Um, stone fruits are great in that way. Having a tree with good roots that you can graft other trees onto, rootstock, is something that you want. So one of the trees, one of the types of trees that you're going to want to have in your garden is a good rootstock tree if you're going to be expanding your garden anytime in the future. If it's just one set and that's all, then maybe not so much. But if you're going to be expanding your garden, and if you're going to be tending that garden on into the future, good rootstocks are important. And I was trying to liken those to being like having your sense of diligence, that sticking to the plan of, I'm going to grow a garden. I'm going to start my plants. I'm going to put them out there. We're going to grow them. We're going to have fresh vegetables. We're going to share the surplus with the neighbors, or take it down to the farmers market and sell it, or take it to the food pantry and donate it. But these ideas that we have, we have a tendency to let them fall by the wayside and go, yeah, we had a garden one year and then we're not going to have a garden the next year, or we're not going to do this. Diligence, sticking with it. That's related to roots, and that was what I was trying to get at. I wanted to have that somehow linked to the the canopy layers, and have the virtue of diligence being like one of these layers. So you can sort of relate the gardener himself being in alignment with the layers of the forest that he's operating in. So in the rhizobium layer, in the root layer, he's got that virtue of diligence where he sticks with it. And anyway, Brian says, I don't know, get a cold beer, check on a fireplace. I was listening though. So there's a concept of trying to like the virtues of a good gardener, right? Cardinal virtues, incidentally, with those forest layers. So the good gardener is properly aligned with the forest. Anyway, so your next layer up, in the food forest, was the I have too many windows open. The next layer up is your ground cover, right? From the rhizobium layer, the ground cover layer, and then up there after that you have, well, this is the tough part. Do we want the herbaceous perennial layer there? Yeah, probably, right? Then after that, see, hmm, I can't remember where the original manual had it, but I think at this point, right there in the middle, is where we should put the vine layer, because it sort of balances out everything. It goes to the places where there was more sunlight, and it doesn't appear in places where there was less sunlight, because it tries to go to the places where it can find light, and it's always reaching for those places. So it's trying to achieve that light balance. Then above that, you've got your shrubs, and then above that, you've got understory, and then finally, you've got canopy. And if we were going to be linking a virtue to a layer of your food forest, what would the canopy layer be? Right? What virtue does a good gardener have as his canopy, the crown up here? And I'm thinking, kindness. Maybe kindness would be the canopy that you grow in your garden, and the fruits of that tree of kindness. Whenever you go and you share those with your neighbors, they really transform your garden. But it's not easy to produce that particular kind of tree, right? It's not easy at all. It takes a lifetime of work and effort to grow a tree of kindness. It takes a lot of other virtues working at it too. So that middle layer, uh, vines, one that kind of balances everything out, I would link that maybe to temperance, you know? And then we have the other layers. So we have your understory layer is patient. Think about that one for a minute. Huh? Your understory layer is patient. Because if it waits long enough, eventually the canopy is going to be out of the way and it will be the canopy and everything's fine. Ways so you can think about this patience being a virtue. If you wait around long enough by the river, you will see the bodies of your enemies float by, right? Then we had the shrub layer, and this was tough because I really kind of wanted to put humility down there at ground cover because I like to think of clover particularly as being very humble, the way it behaves, right? It doesn't raise itself too high up above everything else. Whenever it gets cut, it goes, oh, that's the level. I need to stay right down here and be healthy, right? Because that's its response to grazing pressure. When the animal came by and started munching at the grass and everything, the clover went, oh, okay, I'll stay down here. Will that be okay? And it grows and it prospers at a height that browsing grazing animal won't destroy all of it because it's remaining humble. And I thought that was a good example for humility. But I think bushes and shrubs are a good example of humility as well. They don't ever, unlike your understory trees, which if they're patient may someday aspire to become canopy trees. The bushes and shrubs, it doesn't matter. They're always going to be bushes and shrubs. They're never going to, challenge the canopy. So they're always going to be humble. And then down below that, we've got your herbaceous perennial layer, and they're very earnest. They're sincere. So that sort of virtue could be represented by them. And then, of course, your ground cover is where we have our charity. Why? I don't know. That's just the way it works out, I think. Because whenever you give away strawberries, people really appreciate the gift. I think. Yeah. So these okay. Now, I said you have the tree of diligence, right? That's your root stock. Whenever and all these trees are of the same family, right? They're of the same family, just the way that those stone fruits out there in the garden they're all the same family too. These are your internal garden trees, the kind of ones that we ran away from at the fall. That garden that we ran away from, we stopped tending. We had an internal garden that we stopped tending too. All right. In order to get that tree of kindness, it takes a lot of things. Some of the things we mentioned, those virtues that we mentioned. Of course, obviously, it takes diligence, working at it constantly. You don't change your habits overnight, right? You go, I want to change, but if you don't make the habit of changing the habit, it doesn't happen. Uh, some of the best things to enhance your feeling of kindness is to engage in charity, sincerity, honesty, honest dealings, temperance. Keep control of those passions. Don't let your passions overcome your reason. Uh, Practice humility and be patient. And if you do all these things, you can. When I was talking about things being kind of like pollen, right? So pollen from one of these trees that you're growing cross pollinates to another, and they produce new fruit, new trees. You're replanting, cultivating, growing. And as you're growing, you're getting better and better and better at your skills. You're getting better at being diligent. You're getting better at being charitable. You're getting better at being sincere. You're stopping and going, wait a minute, is this thing that I'm saying what I really believe? Is this where I really want to stand? Or do I am I more in alignment with this idea? Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't be honest with anybody else. And if you're not being honest, then you can't see anything clearly. After that, you've got temperance. All of these things help you along the way towards growing that that most important tree, which is, of course, that tree of kindness, that whenever you share its fruits, transform the whole garden. That's the concept. Now, the question is, do I need to actually say, here is a cherry tree for charity, and have that as a mnemonic device? You know, maybe, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh, Peltlu came in. Hey, how's it going, Gary? All right. We had a little bit of an audio outage, and kind of got back after that. Mary says not everybody knows what 5x5 means. Belt Loop says, I'd like some pecan trees. I'd love to send some to you, but mine are not ready to go out just yet. All I can send you are seedling. And seedling, they're going to be pecans, but they aren't necessarily going to be great pecans. If you want them to be great pecans, wait for a year or two until I've got them grafted, then I can send you some. Or just get on down to Atwoods or Tractor Supply here in about another month or so, and look for them. You should be able to find a couple. Yeah, new king of Wade. Oh, I've seen Joe, but I haven't seen Sassafras Red. But that's not too incredibly unusual. I mean, he does do work that may take him away from home for extended periods of time. So those construction jobs, they pay you big money, but they want you to work the long hours. Let's see. Ah, yes. There we go. Ah, oh yes. Okay, yeah. Okay. Very important. This drops. I'm glad you pointed that out. Big problem that we've had when we try to deal with social issues is we attack the bad behavior, right? The thing that we don't like, kind of like weeds. We go, here's this thing that I don't like, so I'm gonna yank it out, and you're always pulling out weeds. And there's more weeds growing in because there is a reason the weeds were there, right? There's a reason the weeds were there, and one of the reasons was there was something had to be there. All right. So a long time ago, this was like 5th century, Pope Gregory came up with this list of cardinal virtues, and he linked them to deadly sins. And the idea that he had was, by attacking the deadly sins, we can promote the cardinal virtues. Unfortunately, it put the emphasis on the negative aspect and not on what we wanted to grow. When it turns out, whenever you replace the weeds with something that you want, weeds don't have a place to grow anymore. They get crowded out. If you apply this to your internal garden, focus on the virtues that you're trying to cultivate. They crowd the weeds out. So, by encouraging people to work on those virtues rather than focusing on what they're doing wrong, you can help them along without making them feel condemned or attacked. And so you can make that transformation in a way that they are going to be willing to accept. Because nobody wants to be pointed at and told, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. I mean, even if you are doing it wrong, there has to be a way that you can present that to them in a way that's kind. Because without kindness, they close off. Right? Character is the tree, reputation the shadow. The shadow depends upon the tree and the tree. Well, right. You're essentially trying to develop character within yourself as if you are a tree, right? And trees, as you examine them, produce fruit. Yeah. We didn't get started until about 30 minutes or so. Actually, it was closer to 40 minutes in, and then we had an audio outage for about 5 minutes there. So don't really have to back up too far. Yeah. Seedlings got motor. Yeah, it's rough on seedlings out there. Right. Exactly. An analogy. Yes, Jesus did say, leave the weeds. Well, no, he didn't say to separate them after the harvest. He said they would be separated. You don't have to do the separation. It's kind of important. Kind of one of the places where we got into trouble was we're trying to correct each other's behavior, and we're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be showing you what to do right, not go, you're doing it wrong. But that's exactly it. You don't worry about them doing it wrong. Show them how to do it right. And in the course of pursuing doing it right, you kind of figure out what you're doing wrong and start backing away from that. And then sometime later, you could look at them and go, "So that thing that you thought that was that was not a big deal. I notice you're not doing that anymore." And they go, "Yeah, I think I realize it probably wasn't such a good thing after all." And you never have to point a finger. You never have to, because the things that are actually wrong, people figure it out. Whenever they start pursuing virtue, they figure it out. And whenever they figure it out themselves and make the change themselves because that's what they want to do, then it's good. It isn't forced, and it actually takes. Woohoo, 189 IQ. Oh my gosh. He's smart. Mine's about 137 whenever I'm blind and drunk. Other than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I had an IQ test administered, and they wouldn't tell me what the results were because they wanted me to have a normal childhood. That didn't happen. No, I mean, the normal childhood didn't happen. Do. All right. Hey, wow, look at that. I'm at the end of chat. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We're at the end of chat. Hi, Betty. You want to say anything? Huh? You just want me to get you some kibble? Is that it? Okay. All right. So there are seven. Yeah, I have 7 fingers on this. There are seven trees that every garden should have. First off, kindness for your canopy, the crown, right? Diligence for the rootstock. Two most important. The two most important. And then don't forget a ground cover of charity. All right. Let me get a ground cover of charity. Sincere herbaceous perennials, temperate vines, humble bushes and shrubs, patient understory. Yeah, that's it. That is the 7 trees that every garden needs. And that, I hope, is a good enough analogy. I hope you found today's video informative or entertaining. If you did, you know what to do. I will catch you next time. Until then, get out there and get growing.